Today we're going to learn about why I think you should get stuck into hardware hacking and sensors to come up with amazing technology ideas to help us change the world. Hey there, world changers. In today's video, I want to help inspire you to get stuck into hardware hacking and using environmental sensors in your project. So we're going through chapter 1, which is measurement and data in my book, How to Save the World. And I wanted to go through this chapter here about sensors and building stuff. And this is why I want to inspire people who are pro-technology to create a revolution in how we're gathering environmental data. You see, it's really hard for us to get motivated to change things in the world when we can't see the numbers. And the problem is when it comes to the Earth, that our data has been collected by government departments and it hasn't been very granular. For example, with air pollution, the EPA measures the air pollution in one location for an entire city, right? But air pollution changes from block to block, from house to house. You're standing on one block, there's a whole lot of cars, there's a whole lot of fumes. It can be entirely different, just 30 meters away. So this very coarse, non-granular type of data collection that's been done has not given us the detail to help give us agency over these numbers. So what we need is a revolution in environmental data on two different dimensions. One is spatial granularity. We need to know what our data is house by house or person by person. So this could be air pollution, it could be green cover, it could be surface temperature, it could be air temperature. It could be carbon dioxide emissions, or it could be the amount of waste you're producing, the amount of water your house is using, as well as different socio-economic indicators. And I tell you what, this is the stuff I do for a living. And there is almost no environmental granular data per household, per land parcel like this. And what that does is robs us of the ability to tap into this core motivational framework that we all have, which is how we benchmark and position ourselves in our communities around us. There's one thing that really motivates people to create change, and that's just showing you how you compare to your neighbours. Not because we're ruthlessly competitive, but just simple comparison is a very powerful framework in the human mind to drive change. And just simply strategically for how to run a city, when you can see granular data, like you can see that this particular corner is heavily polluted. This particular corner is very hot and doesn't have trees. Then cities and communities can start working to help ameliorate and alleviate the problem areas in our cities. And you know what? We don't need to wait for the government to do it for us. Sensors are available on eBay and sparkfun.com. You can buy them, you can look up YouTube tutorials, and you can build this stuff yourself. With a few hours and a bit of focus, you can do incredible things with Arduino, some sensors, and a soldering iron. And the second dimension that we need to get the data is in real time. Frequently, data is only being collected and conveyed once a year or once a month. It's actually tragic, the lack of real-time data feeds we have for our planet. Do you know that PG&E, which is the electricity utility in California, how frequently they give each California city an update as to the carbon dioxide emissions that particular locality is making? Guess, do you think it's maybe once a week? Once a month? It's once a year. Once a year they send a report. So that's a 1-year feedback loop. Imagine you had a Fitbit on your wrist and it told you 1 year later how many steps you'd taken. This is what we're working with. So that's why we need people to start investing in right from the hacker DIY style ground up. Getting into sensors, building these feedback loops, getting the data granular and start building this foundation of what I call the cybernetic Earth. We can start measuring the planet like digital eyes and ears, like a patient in a hospital. We can see what's going on. When we can see the data, then we are far more motivated to do the hard work of actually making the change happen. And we cannot wait for the government to do it for us. It takes people like you, people like me, getting it together, buying a few parts, and actually starting on the ground to make it happen. This is how innovation starts. It starts by people in garages making stuff, little things, build to bigger things. Then there's some funding, somebody makes it happen. The innovation cycle grows. We can't just wait for large institutions to do it for us. We need to make this stuff happen for ourselves. And when you're collecting data, the data needs to be machine readable, not stuck in a PDF, not in an Excel spreadsheet, actual databases that computer programmers and app designers and game designers can actually start getting the data out and using them in real-time feeds in what they are producing. This entire journey of mine that I've been on with this book, How to Save the World, and my work as a Fitbit for the Planet designer started when I tried to build a Facebook game with a thermometer in it that showed how much energy I was using and the carbon dioxide I was using in my home, but I couldn't get the data. I was not able to get a real-time data feed of my own electricity consumption. And then I realized I couldn't get a data feed of any environmental footprint anywhere whatsoever. And that's where this all began. And I'm really hoping that I can inspire technology people in Silicon Valley, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, software engineers, satellite engineers, to start getting into this space, start looking at the three-dimensional environmental world and figuring out how we can measure it and show it to people in a dashboard, in an interface, so we can start taking action. It's all here in the book. Read about hardware hacking and sensors here and go through the exercises to take that deep dive into your data and start thinking about how can I use sensors? How can I use data? How can I put it in a database to get the data that can drive real and measurable change? And of course, if you like the video, leave a comment, especially if you're working in this space. I would love to hear about anything that you're doing with hardware hacking and sensors. It's my pet love. Sign up to my website, katiepatrick.com, and I will see you in the next video.